TYT is partnering with participant media to help solve the climate crisis. Wouldn't that be great? Now, look, you got to check out our series, 10 Days of Action, to learn more about what you can do to make a difference. And go see an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, in theaters in New York and LA on July 28th and nationwide August 4th.
The Justice Department issued an amicus brief asserting that provisions in Title VII do not protect sexual orientation. The Justice Department has filed court papers arguing that a major federal civil rights law does not protect employees from discrimination based on sexual orientation, taking a stand against a decision reached under President Barack Obama. The department's move to assert itself into a federal case in New York was an unusual example of top officials in Washington intervening in court in what is an important but essentially private dispute between a worker and his boss over a gay rights issue. So the filing is a discrimination case that came before the United States Courts of Appeal in the Second Circuit. Basically what it deals with is there's a skydiving instructor who revealed his sexual orientation. He's gay, he was gay, he actually passed away in 2014 to someone that he was instructing, following which the company fired him, terminated his employment. Now, in its brief, the department noted that every Congress since 1974 has declined to add a sexual orientation provision to Title VII, despite what it called notable changes in societal and cultural attitudes. This is definitely a departure from what we saw under the Obama administration, who in 2015, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission under Mr. Obama issued a contrary ruling deciding on a vote of 3 Democrats to 2 Republicans that discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation was illegal. Now, this is an easy case for me as a gay person to get disheartened about, but for my LGBT brothers and sisters, there is some good news. Shortly after the new brief was filed, civil rights activists attacked it. In a statement on Wednesday, Vanita Gupta, who ran the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division under Mr. Obama, said the Trump administration's court filing contravenes recent court decisions and guidance issued by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. However, the Department of Justice issued its own contrary opinion. In his own statement, Devin O'Malley, a Justice Department spokesman, said that the brief was consistent with the Justice Department's long-standing position and the holdings of different courts of appeals. Mr. O'Malley adding that the filing reaffirms the department's fundamental belief that the courts cannot expand the law beyond what Congress has provided. So here's what I think we need to be talking about. So Title VII is a pretty broad-reaching civil rights statute that doesn't necessarily outline every type of protection that it affords. So what we're seeing is under the Obama administration, it was interpreted in one way. And now the Trump administration, it seems like they're throwing their weight around saying, no, we interpret it totally differently. But there isn't actually a federal precedent that is binding here. SCOTUS hasn't spoken out on this. With that said, I want to know, political parties aside, whose interpretation is correct?
Okay, so prepare to be a little surprised, at least, and disappointed in me. I agree with the Trump administration. So, and I am fairly conservative judicially, and don't get me wrong, I don't agree with their policies at all. The idea that you should be allowed to discriminate against LGBT community is loathsome, ridiculous, preposterous, and un-American. But Title VII says that you cannot discriminate based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. It does not say sexual identity, and it should. So they should pass a law immediately saying that, but they haven't. So, and as the conservative lawyers point out here, over and over again, Congress has had every opportunity in the world to pass that law and has chosen not to. So this is where, again, what it means to be conservative judicially is not politically conservative, but to say we're going to interpret what's in the law. Now, and oftentimes, I think so-called conservative jurists will twist the law to get to their own opinion. But if you don't do that, you just look at the text of this bill, it doesn't say sexual identity. So I actually think that they're right about this. Now, again, one last thing about what I disagree with them about. Trump claimed that he was going to be a bigger friend to the LGBT community than Hillary Clinton or anyone else, or was going to make your head spin. No, I told you he was full of crap. Of course he is. He was never going to be a friend to the LGBT community. If he was, even if he did this on principle, laugh along with me, he would then propose, hey, he would get his friends in the Senate to propose a bill to put sexual identity in the bill. And of course he's not going to do that. because he always intended to discriminate.
Yeah, I first of all, if I ever go skydiving, I only want to go skydiving with a gay man. So let's just be clear. Rest in peace, Mr. Zarda. What I want to talk about when it comes to this, because you guys both said the same thing to me. You told me before the show that legally this is. But it's just every single thing that Obama did. This administration is so focused on undoing what Obama did that they don't care about the people. I guess to prove to the people that they were going to keep their word, that they're going to uphold and endorse their bigotry, and it's just so frustrating. It's like I said before, it's like if there are apples in the White House that were there when Obama was there, they threw all the apples out and they were like, only oranges, because it's like constantly, let's get rid of that name. I mean, even people at risk of losing their health care because that name is attached to that. It's so obvious and so annoying. But on a moral scale, when I think about these conservatives who are always claiming to uphold morality, their morality is always at the expense of somebody else's humanity. And that is what's so frustrating, that we, to this day, like that shirt that I saw at the march, this older white woman, she was like maybe 70. She was like, I can't believe I still have to march for this shit. That we are still having debates about gay people being able to have rights and not being harassed and discriminated against at work.
So can I just build off that real quick, and then Grace, I'm actually super curious about your opinion on this. So Democrats, why don't you propose a bill that puts sexual identity in Title VII and put the Republicans on the spot? Because history is on your side. First of all, the present is on your side. Now a significant majority of Americans believe that LGBT people are actually humans.
What?
I know, right? And should have the same rights as everybody else. And so you'd win today, and then later, when that number moves from whatever it is today, 57, whatever it is, to 77 and 97, you'll have them on the record as the people who never believed in equality and who never believed in America in the first place.
Cenk, that is exactly where I stand on this. I think that I want to see action from people who assert that they are allies for the LGBT community to propose something so that we don't have to deal with this sort of legal loopholes, which again, I had to write my thoughts down because this is obviously an issue I'm very close to. And it is worth noting, I wrote, the DOJ is not dead wrong in their interpretation because they are not arguing against binding prior court decisions. What it's going to come down to is the proclivities of the Second Circuit, which fortunately are it's a fairly liberal circuit without a Trump appointee. But right now, we're just kind of crossing our fingers that they will have a liberal and progressive interpretation of Title VII. We shouldn't have to hope for that anymore in 2017. I would like to see the introduction of a bill that people can vote on so that people will go on the record, are you an ally or not? It would be such a clear-cut issue. Do you believe that I should be fired for being gay? I mean, I really think that that's where we're at, because it is disheartening to look at this and think, well, yeah, actually, unfortunately, there isn't a binding federal precedent here, and there is no mention of sexual orientation in Title VII. So the Obama administration was lenient on their interpretation. 2014, 2015 saw some administrative decisions and memos issued that would indicate that Title VII is to protect on the basis of sexual orientation, but nothing in writing. Let's get something in writing. Let's be progressive. Let's take action here. I'm not satisfied with just trusting an administration will have our best interest at heart, because we're looking at what they're doing under general sessions. They don't care. And in fact, they're acting specifically. All that they did to issue this amicus brief, they didn't need to. This didn't concern them, really. This is a relatively small filing. They just wanted to throw their weight around just to say, hey, just so you know, this doesn't really, this is we're the new sheriffs in town right now, so don't get too comfortable. What I would really like to see too is if the HRC or if Lambda Legal will come out and issue another third-party opinion, and that will be taken into consideration before there is a court analysis.
Gays for Trump. If you look up that hashtag, there are so many people who are gays for Trump. I laugh at them like I laugh at the Latinas for Trump too. But there are so many gay people who are, I mean, and the people who follow Milo or whatever his name is, Milo, the devil guy. There are so many people that are just like really behind this, and this is with every group that was supporting Trump. It's your turn this time, now. That's what I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think about this, because I get harassed by gays for Trump on Twitter.
Why?
I want to know what you think because I speak out against Trump, and they're like, Trump is progressive. And I know some of us who are self-haters, they're like, we don't want to be attached to people that need and don't want to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. That applies to every group. There are a lot of gay elitists out there who voted for Trump, and now here it is. Now you can be discriminated against and harassed at your job, and it's not against the law. Now what? Well, I want to hear from you. You want to tweet me about that.
Okay, so let me just say the last couple of things on this. One is, I know that it's open to interpretation, but I think you're really stretching interpretively to say that sexual orientation is in there when it's not. So I know that you could make an argument about, hey, these are generally protecting rights. I understand that argument. I got to be honest with you, I don't agree with it. That's why I want a bill and not just a vague interpretation. But don't think that they're acting out of principle. He did this on the day that he was getting tremendous heat for the Russian connections and potentially firing sessions of Mueller. He did the trans ban in the military on the same day. It's red meat for his base. It is a very minor issue in terms of the legal precedent that's being set. It's an important issue in terms of civil rights, right? So, but they didn't do it out of principle randomly on this day. They did it for red meat. And the reason that the gays for Trump and all those guys say that they're in favor of it, and they'll say they're in favor of this. You know what? All they want is attention. He doesn't actually care about protecting fellow gays. Are you crazy? He doesn't care about anybody but himself. So he's like, great, this is another opportunity to self-aggrandize, and I'll get even more attention for saying I'm against gays when I'm gay, right? And yes, my career at the expense of everyone else. And finally, exactly right, Ida. All the gay supporters, including Peter Thiel, who is a very wealthy Silicon Valley investor who did that speech at the convention for Donald Trump. He happens to be gay, and he's like, no, it's okay, Trump will be fine, I want my tax cuts. What now? What now? So you were wrong about that, and so maybe you think, I don't care, I'll throw all the rest of my community under a bus because I'd like to make an extra buck. But at least be honest about it, because that's exactly what you're doing. And bootstraps, well, if you worked super hard and you got a great job and you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, now they can just fire you for being gay, no matter what you did. If you like the Young Turks, you'll love Young Turks membership. TYTnetwork.com/join.